Welcome to Aftersight, the audio information network of Colorado podcast. My name is Penn Street, and I am your host today. And today I have somebody who I've been friends with for a number of years, Bill Lundgren, and I'm excited for him to share his view of what it really takes to come out of the closet as somebody with a disability. And I met Bill many years ago through a mutual friend at the Denver Center for Performing Arts. Bill was one of the pioneers in bringing audio description to the Denver Center for Performing Arts. So thank you, Bill, for doing that. And so that's how we met. And then from there, we have stayed friends ever since. So Bill, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. And Bill is he likes to call himself a licensed psycho, which he is not. He's a licensed psychotherapist and in the Capitol Hill area. But he also, one of the good things that did come out of the pandemic, or is still coming out of the pandemic, it's still going on, is that you actually meet with people virtually as well as still in person. So Bill, welcome again. And tell me a little bit more about coming out of the closet as a person with a disability.
Okay. This is really originated from by a professor at Hunter College in New York. And he was talking about developing a positive identity as moving from what we call in those days, Negro to Black. And since then, a number of colleagues of mine have looked at different ways. It was such a wonderful model, looking at different ways how we come to own up and develop a positive identity. And I have developed it for disabilities because I think it's with some adaptation. Simply because I think it's helpful for families and the individual to kind of understand where they are in the process of trying to grapple with this, for some people, new information about themselves and how they're different from other people.
Right.
And I'll just run through the stages real quickly, and then I'll elaborate more about each one. But the first stage most people would recognize, which is pre-discovery. That is, there are some things that aren't quite like everybody else, but you assume it has to do with like lighting or something external to yourself.
So you're blaming it on something else besides right. And I do want to preface this that this is something you really do understand because you are somebody who not only has vision loss, but also has hearing loss. So,
right. I have Usher Syndrome, type 2, which means I was born hearing impaired and discovered the blindness and became blind later in life. So I've had to do these stages twice.
Wow.
And when you're a baby, you assume everybody's like you.
Right.
It's only later that you discover, oh, I am different. But again, I guess for a baby, you don't look at something external to you,
right?
But your family will.
Yeah. And
with my vision, I just thought I was a lousy baseball player.
Oh,
I didn't realize I couldn't see.
Right.
Because I have nothing to compare it with.
Wow.
I couldn't follow somebody's eyes and know, oh, they see things differently.
Right. So with that pre-discovery, that is like you said, you just thought you were a lousy baseball player versus, oh, this is a sport that if it's not adaptive, you're not going to be able to probably do well.
Right. And you can say, oh, the sun was in my eyes, or, some reason that I didn't catch the ball. And, when you're a teenager, not being a good baseball player really gets you into trouble.
Yeah.
But, you find all sorts of reasons that things aren't working. And then there's the discovery stage where you realize, oh my God, I've got a problem here. It's me, it's not the outside world. And then of course, you go to the worst possible scenario. And, when you're in the pre-discovery stage, the family sort of just buys your explanation If something's external, they don't see, oh, he's got a problem here, or may not.
Right.
And then when you get into discovery, the family may be invested in avoiding shame by not calling it what it is, but saying, oh, it's just this, that, or the other thing. They kind of enable and kind of hide the discovery that you're making, and you may go along with it.
Wow.
And I did for a long time, just because I was, I saw ophthalmologists with some prestige who never diagnosed that I had RP.
Wow.
And I was even driving.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And, that was, of course, I found out how much truck drivers make nowadays. I thought, I wonder if I'll change careers to be a truck driver. But
I would not recommend that, Bill. Just,
Oh, why not? Then everybody would get off the road and leave it completely free for me.
Just have it Bill's highway. So with the discovery stage, is that, because I know, like with myself, when my parents sort of like, okay, this is something that's permanent and my vision was going to get worse over time, they started going to every doctor, every specialist. I was literally wearing ski goggles going to elementary school in Arkansas. Very popular child I was. But is that part of the sort of that discovery, is that I was actually I was like, okay, I'm losing my vision. I was a kid, but my parents were like, oh no, we got to do everything in our power to see if we can fix this or to stop it.
Right. And what your parents were doing was going into the third stage, which is kind of immersion stage.
Oh.
And you see, in the discovery stage, you try to optimize to pretend that it's not happening. It's what we call passing.
Oh, okay.
And in something like RP, you can pass for a long time.
Yes.
And the fact that you trip over things or run into people, you say, excuse me, I didn't see you, which is true, but you don't, let on that, this is a perpetual problem.
Or you're clumsy. That was what.
Yeah, exactly.
She's just clumsy.
And for me also, as a male, males in particular, but everybody does it, but males, are socially trained never to ask for help.
Oh, right.
And so to ask for help when I can't see is you don't do that. You try to muddle through.
Right.
And that was a big problem one time when I went into a bar restaurant to meet some friends of mine. And, a lot of bar restaurants, the lighting is almost non-existent.
Right.
And I'm stumbling and so forth. And, I had found my friend. And afterwards, my friend confronted me. He said, Bill, do you know that you get such pleasure when you help somebody? How dare you deny me the opportunity to feel good about helping you?
Right.
And that was a pretty powerful statement. I remembered it all these years.
Yeah.
Because it enabled me to get off my high horse.
Yeah.
And that's when I began to, I need to let people know. And that's, was starting, but I was still passing. I was still tripping over fire hydrants and so forth. I didn't have a dog. I didn't have a cane because that would mark me as blind.
Right.
And that shame of being that different from people was real hard to deal with.
Wow.
And when you get into the third stage, you really split off into two directions. You can't go into two directions. One is the introversion. That is, you give up and you isolate and you minimize your activities in order to avoid showing people, that you're blind.
Right, right.
Or, as you were describing, you get involved in all kinds of organizations. You try every kind of treatment. I went to, both for my hearing and my sight, I was going to doctors up in Park Avenue. I was living in Philadelphia, in the Philadelphia area at the time, and I'd be schlepping up to New York to all these doctors who had these magic cures for either the hearing or the eyesight, and really getting a snow job.
Right, right.
And, which is the problem in our situation. And then you have to say, okay, I need you and your family say, okay, I need to do something.
Right.
And that's when you start looking around at organizations and become, I did a lot of work in disabilities back in Philadelphia and being speaker and so forth. And that was part of my way of trying to normalize this experience of being blind.
Yeah, and I feel like you said with the immersion, it's like trying to find tools so that you could live independently and function independently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the discovery for me was when a friend of mine referred me to an optometrist who looked in my eyes and said, this guy's got a problem, and sent me to the Eye Institute at the University of Pennsylvania. Mm. And I don't know whether they still do it, but there's something called the electroretinogram, where they put electrodes on your eyeballs and flash light to kind of measure.
Yeah, I don't know if I had that done, but it was like probably 15, 20 years ago, the last time I had it done. It gives you the worst headache. And
well, they forgot to tell me not to go out drinking with my friend the night before. So I went into that with a roaring hangover.
Oh, no, Bill.
And I almost upchucked on there. Oh. The equipment, the electrodes were stuck to.
Oh, Bill.
But that's when they got the diagnosis of RP.
Wow.
And they told my friend, don't tell him because we can't do anything.
Oh.
And he really does not need to know. And my friend did keep it a secret from me because we left shortly afterwards on a camping trip, and he didn't want to spoil it. But when we came back, he said, I have to tell you, this is not appropriate for you not to know.
Yeah. And that's a good friend, Bill. That's a good friend.
Yeah. And he was a good friend. And what's interesting to me, besides, we say, the immersion and immersion, was knowing now what was going on and what was in the future.
Yeah.
I made a decision to leave the work I was doing and change careers.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I got involved in the human services, because I'd done that as a volunteer, but not a paid professional. And I decided, well, I couldn't do sales promotion writing, which is what I was doing.
Yeah.
I didn't like it anyway. And so why not get paid for this stuff I was doing on a volunteer basis?
Yeah.
And I became why this happened, but I became a board of directors into making me executive director of a countywide program in drug and alcohol abuse prevention and education.
That's wonderful. Yeah, it is amazing. I mean, it's sort of cliched. People say it all the time, when one door closes, another one opens, but you're the one who actually has to open that door and go through it. Or if somebody else even opens it, you're still the one that has to, go through it. Yeah. And experience.
Yeah. And I think at that point, I so disliked what I was doing professionally that I was ready to move on. And so this was the kick in the pants. They said, okay, Lundgren, you got to do something different. And in a way, I was working in disabilities without realizing it, because, addiction is a disability.
Absolutely.
And in that point then, I was still sighted, but I managed to continue that. And then I found I liked working with people directly rather than doing, the education and so forth.
Yeah.
And I left the agency and opened up a private practice because I knew, even blind, I could do a private practice.
Yeah.
And so, that's been my career all this time. But at the same time, I was getting involved with the RP Foundation, with this foundation, this and whatever, that kind of immersion we're talking about. And that's a pretty important stage. Sometimes the family stays in it. Sometimes all of us stay with it for a long time and don't move on.
Right.
And that's fine. That,
Yeah.
nothing says you have to, nor is any of this kind of linear. Sometimes we may move back and forth to the discovery, oh, I got to hide this, or we go into, emerge, and we're all over the place sometimes.
Right.
But
And
that's okay.
I'm glad you said that, because especially, I mean, I know there are occasions where you're either born totally blind,
Mhm.
and so you personally may not go through some of the earlier stages,
Right.
but a lot of us go through these gradually. So you think, you go through these steps and you're like, okay, I got a handle on this. But then all of a sudden you lose another chunk of vision.
Exactly.
And it's like you got to go back through it all again. So I'm glad you said
And
it's not linear.
yeah, and that's what happened to me in '94. I went and got my first guide dog. First, I went through the public sector and got some cane training, which was totally inadequate. So that's when I got my first guide dog, and that was very much the right move for me. I love dogs anyway, but this dog gave me mobility that I had not had before, so I could move fast. I could do things, and everybody loves the dog,
Absolutely.
So, yeah. And not only that, but if they're focusing on the dogs, they're not focusing on my blindness.
Yeah. As a guide dog user, you're preaching to the choir here.
Right. Yeah, especially Beethoven is such a sweet dog.
He is.
Yeah. And also all of my dogs have been that way. And then, of course, another stage came for me where I was talking to my voc rehab counselor, as someone who had been, and I had moved out of his particular district, but he came in, he was in my office, and I was crying to him because the blindness had moved to such a point that I was finding it very difficult to operate. I could fake it, in one sense, but I was at wit's end and I didn't know what to do.
Right.
And that's when he recommended going to a school for the blind and learning, because he said, if you stay in Philadelphia, you'll learn how to make a casserole, and a nice-sighted social worker would take you somewhere with a cane in an empty parking lot, and that's going to be it.
It's important.
This is a vocational counselor.
I know, telling you that you better go to, and there are some fabulous schools out there, and
absolutely. And it was a game changer for me.
That's awesome.
It really was a game changer, because I understood, number one, that I knew a lot of the stuff that they taught me at the school, but I had the confidence. I developed the confidence, which is one thing I think a total immersed program can be for somebody, the confidence builder.
Yeah.
And I also, I made a whole lot of changes, including where I live, and started to practice here. And, one thing about Denver, it's a very disability friendly.
Yes.
One of the best. And thanks to a lot of people who have fought to make us acceptable to everyone. So it became, okay, as a matter of fact, this is who I am. Yeah. And that's when you move into, when you have that kind of experience, you move then into the fourth stage, which is an integration stage. That is, you say, okay, all this work in blindness and so forth is one thing, but what else can I do, or what can I develop? And that's when you begin to see yourself not as one thing, a blind person, but you see yourself as a person with blindness.
Yeah.
And you then move into the final stage, or at least the final stage for this model, the synthesis stage, where you say, okay, I'm a person with blindness, but I'm a lot of other things, like a psychotherapist, just what you do, what all of us do, and begin to see ourselves three-dimensional.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's, to me, a beautiful stage. It's for myself when it happens with me, and then, but also to watch other people that I know when they hit that stage. It's just this incredible moment in their life. I was reminded of the fact that I love the theater. I don't perform in theater, but I love
watching, even though I can't see what's going on, when you have the
Yeah.
audio description, which actually was established before I came on board, but it just kind of reinforced, when we established a disability committee,
Yeah.
helped to really raise the level and kind of enforce that kind of service to people. And getting the audio description and just being able to listen to the music and just experience live theater, there's nothing like it.
That I totally agree. I mean, you were the one that introduced me to audio description at the Denver Center for Performing Arts, and life has been so much better ever since. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I remember, I was, as a child, I was sighted, and my mother, my great grandmother was was in the chorus line of the first American musical.
Wow.
So we have theater in our blood. And apparently my grandfather's father was an actor who left his, I don't know whether it was his wife or the mother of his child and went back to England, but we have theater in our blood. And so I was taken to the theater real young, but my mother was always afraid that there'd be a fire in the theater. So she got to see, the last row in the theater, which meant unless it was Ethel Merman, I couldn't really hear that well. Right. But I could see what was going on stage. So now it's the reverse for me.
Yeah.
But still, it's in my blood.
That's amazing. And it's neat to me that you even though, like you said, you're not an actor, but you did play a huge role, no pun intended, in making the theater accessible for, people like me. So
exactly. So. And the founder of the DCPA, that was the first thing when he built the theater. He said, I want my theater to be accessible to everybody.
That's wonderful. Wow. And I wish that was true everywhere.
yeah, absolutely. They're just starting to do some things in New York. And in fact, they have it now where there is a pre-recorded audio description of plays in most of the theaters in New York.
Oh, nice.
They have to wait for the first month till the actors get fully used to their role, and then what you do, they'll give you a iPad, or you can connect it with your iPhone or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And it would broadcast the audio description while you're watching what happens on stage. Now, I don't know what happens if somebody really flubs and shows up because it is. But,
or you're like a minute off or a few seconds off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But,
well, that's amazing. So Bill, so after integration, what's the next step?
Synthesis, where you really don't see yourself as a blind person, or it becomes three-dimensional, where you see all the aspects of yourself and you bring it together.
Oh, wow.
It's like my sister, who also had the same condition as I have.
Yeah.
She had a fine art degree, but she couldn't do anything. She lost her sight, but she figured out some ways to continue to be an artist.
Oh, wow.
Without her sight. She did a lot of wood carving, continued to do sculpture, but she had a little handheld device which would tell colors, but not just, red, white, or whatever, but would give her the percentage of color.
Oh, wow.
And then she'd go into her memory and she would do weaving, very nice weaving, based on her memory of colors and the instruction that the machine gave when she put the yarn next to it.
Wow.
So there are lots of adaptations that you make that you can feel proud of.
Yes.
And no longer have blindness being, hovering over you, but just become an acceptable part of you. And that's the synthesis stage.
So that's like, I've heard people say, we all have had this happen. Like, if you say, I'm blind, like if I'm blind, I'm sorry. That's what and I always say, there's nothing to be sorry about. I a lot of times compare it to, I have long brown hair, I have brown eyes. I'm 5'9". Like
Right, exactly.
it's being blind does not define who I am. It's
Exactly.
just part of who I am. So that's wonderful. I've been taking notes because this is such a great, because I know I'm familiar with like the 5 stages of dying.
Yeah, right.
I love that, and I can see that these, and you had mentioned that there's even maybe a 6th stage, which we have a few
Right.
minutes left, which I would like you to talk about. But I'd like, Bill, that yes, we're sort of focusing on these stages, looking at blindness, but you could use this for any aspect of your life. And if you lose a loved one, you get diagnosed with cancer, whatever that challenge is in life, you can take these stages and use them in different areas.
Yeah. The 6th stage came out of some work I've been doing in grief and loss. And David Kessler, who's a specialist in that area, talked about the 6th stage being finding meaning. And I call it finding meaning in a new reality. And I'm not sure if that's a 6th stage or that is something to be considered certainly in stages 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Finding meaning. And I think that's so important for all of us who have a disability to remember that even with whatever our disability, we can find and make meaning for ourselves.
Yeah. That we have worth. Our disability doesn't take that away from us, that, we do have a role to play in our community and in our families.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What I think is so important is that we remember that, because we have so much to contribute.
Absolutely.
So many of us have.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And Bill, how could somebody reach out to you if they're interested in, using your services, or maybe just connecting with you?
Sure. They can email me at Lund, LUND 1365 at msn.com, or they can call me at 303-329-2928.
And again, you have your private practice, and you do see people in person. You're located in Capitol Hill. You're still meeting people virtually as well. That's true.
Right. I'm right now a telephone, but the thing that I'm committed to doing this over the Christmas holidays to do the training, so it is virtual, so people can see me. I don't know why anybody wants to see me, but but anyway, that's what the insurance companies are requiring. But the point is that there are a lot of different ways that we can operate, and I'll be a lot happier because I'm supposed to get a dog in January.
Yes, I'm so excited for you. So excited.
Yeah, I am excited. We haven't worked out all the details, but yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. You and another friend, and actually she was on the podcast a few weeks ago. Gail Hamilton is going in January to get her new dog as well. So
great.
It's
great.
exciting times.
Yeah, it is exciting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I asked for a dog that would take dictation during my session, but they said it would take too long to find one that would do that. But those dogs do wonderful things. Why not take?
I know. Let's step it up. Let's step it up. Well, Bill, thank you so much for joining me today. I know you're very busy. And again, you can reach Bill via email at lund1365@msn.com, or you can give Bill a call at 303-329-2928. And if you didn't get it, we will put that in the notes underneath the podcast. So you'll have that handy. So Bill, again, thank you so much for joining me today. Fun. And I look forward to the next time we can get down to the Denver Center for Performing Arts. And
you bet. It's coming up soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to our audience out there, thank you so much. We have such a huge following. I never, ever I never thought this would blow up like it has, and all of you have been wonderful, and your comments have been beautiful, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate you liking the podcast and sharing it with your friends and family. And remember, just let a little light into your day and shine that light into others people's lives. So be well, and we will talk to you next week.